Social intelligence is one of the most powerful abilities a person can carry through life. It shapes every relationship, every conversation, and every social situation from the inside out. And at its highest level, it gives a person access to a version of the social world that most people never experience. This video is going to walk through 7 signs that your social intelligence is operating at that level. Let's get into it. Number 1. You always sense what someone is not saying out loud. Every conversation has 2 layers, the one happening out loud and the one happening underneath it. The words, the content, the explicit information, that is the layer most people receive. But underneath it, there is always something else. The shift in tone that does not quite match what is being said. The answer that is technically correct, but feels like it is avoiding something. The enthusiasm that is slightly too big to be entirely real. This is not about suspicion or looking for hidden meaning in everything. It is a natural sensitivity to the gap between what someone is expressing and what they are actually feeling. That gap says something, and for people with high social intelligence, it speaks clearly, often more clearly than anything being said out loud. It does not arrive through analysis or deliberate thought. It arrives as a feeling, an internal signal that something in the conversation is not quite matching up. And it is consistent, not just in big moments or intense conversations, in ordinary ones too. That consistency, picking up on the unsaid in every kind of conversation, is what makes this sign so specific to a genuinely high social intelligence. Number 2. You naturally adjust how you communicate with people. Not through performance, not through conscious effort, something far more natural than either of those things, a deep sensitivity to what a specific person needs from a conversation, and an automatic adjustment of how you show up in response to it. The level of directness that works well with one person will create resistance in another. The warmth that feels right in one dynamic will feel like too much in a different one. The pace, the tone, the amount of space left for the other person, all of it shifts based on an ongoing read of who is in front of you. These adjustments happen without planning. They simply emerge from paying close attention to another person in a way that most people never quite sustain. This is not something that can be taught or applied from the outside. It develops from a real attentiveness to other people that either exists in someone or it doesn't. And the people on the receiving end of it always feel it, even when they cannot explain what made the conversation feel different from most others they have. Number 3. You sense the emotional atmosphere before anyone speaks. The tension between 2 people who are pretending everything is fine, the flatness of a group that has recently had a difficult conversation, the energy in a room that does not match what everyone is saying. These things register immediately for people with high social intelligence, before a single explanation has been offered, and before anyone has said anything that would make it obvious. It is a fast processing of everything visible at once: body language, how people are positioned, the quality of eye contact, the way people are or are not taking up space. All of it arrives as one complete impression rather than a series of separate observations, and that impression is almost always accurate. Walking into a room and knowing something about it before it has been announced, that is a level of awareness that goes well beyond what most people pick up on in the same moment, and it happens every time without any conscious effort required. Number 4. You know when silence serves better than words. Silence makes most people uncomfortable. The pull toward filling it is immediate. A comment, a question, anything to cover the quiet before it gets awkward. And that pull almost always produces a response that is more about the speaker's discomfort than about what the moment actually needs. Someone with high social intelligence experiences silence differently, not as a problem to fix, but as a space that has its own purpose. There are moments where adding a response would close something that needs to stay open, where asking a question would interrupt something that needs to finish on its own, where simply being present without speaking is the most powerful thing available. Knowing which kind of moment you are in and holding that, even when every instinct is pushing in the opposite direction, is one of the rarest things in the entire range of social intelligence. The ones who develop it change the quality of every conversation they are part of simply by knowing when to say nothing at all. Number 5, you almost never misread someone's intentions. Most social friction does not come from real conflict. It comes from misreading, assuming something was aimed personally when it was simply an expression of where the other person is, reading a comment as a slight when it was just someone's mood landing in the wrong place. These misreadings are very common, and they create a lot of unnecessary tension in relationships. A clear sense of what belongs to you and what belongs to the person across from you changes this entirely. The understanding, felt instinctively rather than worked out consciously, that most of what people do and say reflects their own inner world rather than a deliberate message about anyone else. That clarity does not make someone passive. It simply means they are rarely wrong about what something actually was. Being accurate about what was meant and what was not removes a layer of tension from relationships that most people carry their entire lives without ever knowing where it came from. Number 6, you make people feel understood without agreeing with them. This is one of the rarest things a person can do in any social interaction. Feeling heard is not the same as being agreed with, but for the person being heard, it can feel exactly like that, and producing that feeling takes far more than simply nodding along. It takes the ability to separate what someone is saying from what they are feeling while saying it, to respond to the feeling directly without needing to agree or disagree with the position it is attached to. Someone with high social intelligence can sit across from a person whose view they completely disagree with and still leave that person feeling fully heard, not through strategy, but through a real attentiveness to what is actually going on in the conversation. That produces a quality of trust that is felt immediately and rarely forgotten. People do not always know why they feel so understood around certain people. This is why, and it is one of the clearest signs of social intelligence working at its highest level. Number 7, you read group dynamics without being told. In any group of people, there are things that are visible and things that are not. The person who appears to be in charge is not always the one with the real influence. The tension being discussed openly is not always the one actually driving the room. The connections on display are not always the ones that matter in reality. People with high social intelligence move through these invisible dynamics without needing them explained. They know who defers to whom, where the unspoken agreements sit, and what is actually driving the behavior of the group beneath the performance on the surface. They read the real picture of any social situation, the real tensions, the real alignments, in the time others take to simply register who is present. That ability doesn't switch off. Once it's running in a person, it operates in the background of every social situation they are ever part of, reading what is real, understanding what is actually happening, and seeing the full picture of any human situation long before it is ever made clear. It's not something that gets turned on when needed. It's simply always there. Social intelligence at this level does not announce itself. It doesn't ask to be recognized or draw attention to itself. It simply works in every conversation, every room, and every interaction, producing an understanding of people and situations that most never access. If these signs felt personal, if they described something about the way you already move through the world, subscribe to LifeBased and like the video. Thanks for watching.